Hello, guys. Uh, Today, I would like to talk to you about the importance of your values and style, lifestyle, basically, on how you feel about your results, your accomplishments, your trajectory, and about where you are at. Perhaps you often wake up feeling that your previous day didn't really go so well. Maybe you're not really into the kind of path you are on. You're often very frustrated with it and with yourself, perhaps. And you think to yourself, is like, why do I constantly feel so shitty about all of this? Now, obviously, there can be so many various different reasons for us to feel horrible and anxious and disappointed. But I just want to talk about one somewhat specific thing that can also have an impact on this. And depending on your specific situation, it can have a bigger role, a smaller role, or perhaps no role whatsoever. That is obviously 100% for you to consider. As always, disclaimer, I am not a mental health professional. This is a purely amateur channel where I try to explore and share my own ideas that are somehow my way of coping and dealing with mental health, and I just hope to share some of that with you guys. So it's all for your careful and critical consideration. So I've been thinking how not only does our childhood shape us, but how it also accounts for so much of our future expectations. You are constantly either setting yourself goals, or you're taking up challenges, or you're undergoing some form of stress, difficulty, tasks, responsibilities, even the act of getting up out of bed, in the very extreme, even the simplest acts like getting up out of bed, going to the fridge or a supermarket, or driving to work or to a library or to see a friend. Pretty much all of that takes energy. Even to breathe and to be takes some form of energy, and sort of dealing with your present, with where you are at. And I think that can be very uncomfortable. And as we sort of grow up from being that child that is being told what to do and what not to do, and what sort of goals to expect, what sort of tasks and responsibilities to seek out and adopt, then we turn into this adult, and it would seem that an adult in a more modern, civilized, globalized world might have this freedom to choose, how do I want to face the possibilities I'm confronted with? What kind of a life do I want to build? You may be asking yourself, those questions as you enter early adulthood, or maybe well into it, or well into your life overall. But those are obviously important questions. However, I think they reek of this illusion that it is quite simply up to us to just choose what we want to do, and how we want to go about living our life. But you see, those expectations and values and style of life, and how our parents and grandparents and their parents and the surrounding that raised us and formed us, the surroundings that we encounter at schools or through our friends, or perhaps throughout society as a whole, the society that you are specifically surrounded by, or the one that you sort of spend the most time interacting with and interacting with most intensively and profoundly, those are going to leave some deep impact, in my opinion. And as we hit that adulthood kind of freedom to choose, we are deeply formed already. Our sense of what is somewhat right and wrong to choose and to do and to pursue, and for many of us, it could well be that we feel out of place and disconnected and alienated. And perhaps that's how we felt in our family, or perhaps that's how we felt in our school and social groups, and perhaps that's how we feel in the society that we are sort of living in and trying to get by inside of. Well, as usual, I'm not really bringing forward any huge or magical solutions or in any shape or way, but I want to try and expose one of these potential reasons for being frustrated and disappointed with yourself, especially if you feel that you are recurringly productive, you are recurringly trying hard and pushing forward and taking on challenges and responsibilities, and you're pushing and you're pushing and you're fighting and you're struggling. And throughout all of that, if you are still looking at yourself each day and feel very dissatisfied, it can be very alarming. And generally, when this happens time after time after time, you ask yourself, where is this feeling coming from? Who should I be mad at? Or what should I be trying to change and address? And I feel like it's very easy to start with ourselves. And so if you're thinking, well, I'm already trying so hard, I'm really, doing my best or very close to that, or I'm, pushing myself to an extreme. And, if that's what you're doing and you're fighting super hard, bones and teeth, and then you look at yourself once again in disappointment, I would stop to consider whether it is possible that you are not on your own path, but a path that has been dictated and passed on to you, and that you actually feel unhappy with, to begin with. So it might not be that you are not doing enough. It might not be right to look at yourself and think to yourself, oh, I should still be doing more. I don't even know how that's humanly possible, but I should put more pressure on myself. I should be having these and these kinds of results, and I should have these and these kinds of traits. But you can't affect what kind of traits you have. Maybe you think to yourself, if you were smarter or stronger or more competent or practical, you would be getting better results. Maybe you think to yourself that you should be able to push yourself even further, to be even harder on yourself, but you're already close to your breaking point. Like, you have your own physical parameters that you're born with, and mental parameters, and I believe also some kind of a natural, authentic preference that has already been formed within your character and yourself somewhere deep inside, and perhaps that deeper, more authentic self is exactly the kind of thing that is being starved by the kind of path you are on. And so this is where I'm trying to bring it a little bit full circle back to the beginning, where I was trying to introduce this topic and video, talking about values and style, or I'm not talking fashion style, but our lifestyle, how you live your life, what kind of paths you choose and how you walk them. And this is where I think, a lot of suffering and unhappiness can be born. It's and I feel like there are some good and bad news to go hand in hand with that realization. And perhaps the bad news is that it is not necessarily easily changed, but the good news is that I believe it can be changed. I believe it can be sort of meddled with and worked with, interacted with, and also just recognizing this allows you to, put less pressure on yourself in the future, or start to do so, because I don't think that's the answer. It's the kind of answer where you tell yourself that you are not enough. I am no stranger to this. I tell myself that all the time. I feel like I set out to do goals A, B, and C, and D and E, and maybe I do 4 out of 5, or 3 out of 5, or even 5 out of 5, and it still doesn't feel good enough. And not only am I not really satisfied or happy, maybe I even feel a bit miserable. I feel resentful, and I look at myself, I think to myself, it's not even making me happy. I don't know, should I have set even larger goals to begin with? But then that even feels impossible, and perhaps my body hurts, and I already feel like I pushed myself way too hard. So why am I still not satisfied? Well, perhaps that's part of the answer. Perhaps I'm pushing myself too hard in the wrong direction. And I guess there may even be such a thing as pushing ourselves too hard in an authentic and a good direction, but I don't think that's what this video is about at heart. And so this is what I wanted to bring up for further consideration and exploration, and also just to suggest for all you hard workers out there, or all of you that deep down that you're trying with the cards that you have been dealt, and maybe you feel like the world is looking at you from the outside and they don't feel satisfied with your results, and they feel like you aren't trying. Perhaps it's your boss, your colleagues, your family, your friends, your wife, your kids, but whoever it is, I don't think any of them can put themselves into your shoes and consider what you are really giving, in that regard. So please, guys, don't be too harsh on yourselves. If you feel that you are trying and you are still unhappy with what you're getting from it, maybe it's not so much about how much you put into it. Maybe it's about where you put it, and there is still time and possibility to choose or slowly shift your direction into what feels more natural and rewarding for you. I would like to believe that. I would like to encourage that, even in any small steps, and this also goes kind of hand in hand with the videos about building confidence that I've been trying to post lately, where I may not have been too clear about the overall point, but the intention was to motivate you, dear listener or viewer, wanderer, fighter, to find something you are very good at, but also passionate about, something you are good at and driven towards. And this is where I'm hoping, authenticity will bring us closer to being to feeling right and not feeling depleted, and I'm not advocating pushing anyone to the bone. I'm not advocating being so hardworking that it just depletes your health and psyche. But I'm saying, if you do want to invest into something, because any investment can take a lot out of us depending on the kind of capacity and cards we have. So I would say choosing our investment is always important. Our time and energy are always important. Each one of us is a walking treasure of color, endless worlds, connections, stories. So yeah, I would like to motivate that for us to find our authentic directions, and by getting closer to them, releasing some of that pressure that has been put onto us by our formative environment in childhood, and to get closer to our own authentic values and lifestyle. And yeah, hopefully surround ourselves by influences and people that bring us closer in that direction. Maybe that's something I also need to work on, to be honest, because I don't feel like I'm socializing enough. And even when I am, sometimes I'm skeptical about the kind of environments and activities and people I choose to socialize with. So hopefully one day I too can make some progress in this direction. So good luck, guys. Have a good evening or morning or whatever your next phase is. Good luck.